listeners and viewers, and welcome to our 4 months mid-morning show where we connect, learn, and grow. Today we are going to talk about drip irrigation. But first of all, let me remind you that we are live on Facebook, we are live on YouTube, at Farmers Media in Facebook, at Farmers Media in YouTube, at www.farmersmedia.com on our website. First of all, I would like to apologize for yesterday. We experienced a technical issue and the shows for yesterday did not run. We really apologize for that. Anyway, welcome to Farmers Media. Make sure that you subscribe. You make sure that you follow us on our social media accounts. This is Farmers Media, the mid-morning show, the one and only show that takes us to the deep world of what really fuels our farms. Welcome to our farmers. So I hope you guys had a lovely week. You had a lovely day. Today being the 8th of August, we're going to talk about drip irrigation. And right now we are broadcasting right from the heart of a vibrant agricultural community. We are here to educate you. We are here to ensure that you get something out of this session. We are here to ensure that your farms are growing well. We are here to ensure that you are getting good tips on how to grow your farms. So I hope you had a lovely day. And first of all, I'd like to start with what is really trending right now. Okay, according to what is trending, there is a heat humidity that has killed hundreds of US cattle during World Hottest Month. So we've heard that in the last month, in July, late July, there was an outbreak of drought in the US that killed 100 of cattle. So it killed 100 of cattle specifically from Iowa, which is located in the US, Chicago, and 100 of cattle died in Iowa from extreme heat and humidity in late July. We know that extreme heat is not a good thing. It is very dangerous, especially for animals. This is because when there is high heat, there is drought, animals lack water, they lack pasture, they lack so many other things that enables them to live. So in August 7th, 100 of cattle died in Iowa from extreme heat and humidity, and also in the late July. The state and livestock producers said as the world recorded its hottest month ever. So the deaths show the toll of severe weather on farm animals and food production. So it has been seen that the amount of food produced by farms in Iowa has reduced very, very hard, and also the farm animals are starting dying. So it is a very severe thing. And then the gravivator who raises cattle in western Iowa said he worked to protect local herds. About 53 cattle died at 3 of his neighbors' feedlots during the last week in July. So we have experienced that these people from the US have experienced a lot of losses. They have seen the impact of this drought on their cattle. They have seen the impact of these droughts on their farm animals, which has contributed to very big losses. Back to Kenya, where we are right now. As we all know that there have been these news spreading across the country about the caterpillars in Eldoret, specifically in Kapsoya, Lamu. These caterpillars, we know that caterpillars are very dangerous creatures to farmers. They are pests that are affecting farmers worldwide in different parts of the country, including Kenya and many other parts of the country. So today we saw that the caterpillars have affected a lot of farms, a lot of trees, a lot of forests in Kapsoya, Limo, which is in Eldoret. So it also affects the people around that area. It affected the people around that area because other farmers were complaining that this caterpillar has affected them in different ways, including attaching itself to their skin. You know, when caterpillar lands on your skin, it sticks in it. It has a sticky substance. I don't know if it's a sticky substance or its legs are very sticky. So when they stick onto your skin, it is really hard to remove it unless you press it. Which is very disgusting anyway. So this one farmer complained that the caterpillar kept falling on his skin, and also it has affected his skin, And when it is time to remove this kind of a caterpillar, it is very hard to remove it, because he used the petrol, he used the oil, the petrol to remove the caterpillar from its skin. So caterpillar are not only affecting the farmers worldwide, they are not only affecting the farms outside this country or anything else, they are also affecting human beings. So they say that caterpillar started 1 month ago, and it has really impacted that society in a negative way. And they are also worried, the residents are also worried that if this caterpillar form into butterflies when they complete these stages, you know, when the caterpillar grows, it grows into stages. First of all, I never knew that caterpillars can be butterflies. I was even wondering where are these butterflies, where are they coming from? I've seen a lot of butterflies in our area, a lot of them, especially when you are washing clothes in the river, and then you pour the water with the soap, you'll see a lot of them surrounding that area. But anyway, I've never really known what is where this caterpillar came from. I never knew where they came from until I learned that caterpillars are the ones that are producing these butterflies. So when they undergo these stages, the stages of formation, the final form of caterpillar is butterflies. And so the residents in Eldoret are really worried about what these caterpillars might do to their crops, or also to their children or to themselves, because they are also dangerous at large. So they say that if these caterpillars become butterflies, they may go to other places and spread. Through these, when they spread, they may cause even more damage. So when these caterpillars become butterflies, they fly to different places. You know, it will be very easier for them to move from one place to another. So through that, they'll be able to spread in different parts of that country, or in different parts of that county. So when they spread in different parts, they tend to give birth to more caterpillars. So through these, they'll be able to destroy more and more farms. And also, the residents are very saddened by this kind of thing, by the attack of the caterpillars. So they said that caterpillars have caused damage to the local vegetation. They have really tried to control these caterpillars, but it is out of their hand. And they are also encouraging the government to help them to curb these kind of caterpillars. So the situation has become so severe that the town is in measure. The town is in mayor, and the mayor have released an official statement urging the residents to take precautionary measures and report any sightings. So they have also encouraged the people in that area that if they have seen any caterpillars in different parts of that county, if they have seen these caterpillars continuing to spread, they should report immediately, so that the government will know what else to do to curb these kind of caterpillars, because they are affecting farmers, and this is another enemy of farmers, that is already a pest. And you know, pests are not good for the crops. They ensure that they have eaten each and everything in that farm. That reminds me of the day there was an outbreak of grasshoppers. I don't know if you all remember that thing. The grasshoppers were so many. Like, I saw them in our area. When they land in one tree, they ensure that they have eaten each and every leaf in that tree. So I was so surprised, and I was like, why are these things? They are so tiny, and yet they feed a lot. So don't ever underestimate the impact of something. May it be small, may it be big. Don't underestimate it. Something might be small, but the impact it might cause is very huge. So when you are, as a farmer, you should take care of your animals, of your farm very well, and ensure that you are seeing the impact in that farm. Make sure that there are no diseases that are affecting. May it be a small disease, make sure that you are keen on eliminating that kind of a disease. So back to the topic of our day. I hope you guys are still watching us. We are live on Facebook at Farmers Media. We are live on YouTube at Farmers Media. Make sure you watch us, and if you want to, make sure you subscribe. We are on our website at www.farmersmedia.com. Once again, this is Farmers Media. This is where we connect, learn, and grow. Back to the topic of the day. Today we are going to talk about drip irrigation. But first of all, a lot of people just practice this drip irrigation, but they never know, where does this drip irrigation come from? Where did it start? So today I'm going to tell you about how this drip irrigation developed and its early origin until up to date. So drip irrigation, its early form of drip irrigation was used in several civilizations. In ancient
Drip
China,
irrigation.
farmers used to bury and glaze clay pots filled with water. Just imagine, they fill the pots with water. After filling these pots with water, they bury it underground. So through that, the water seeps into the ground slowly by slowly. So when the water is filled in these pots, they gradually seep into the soil, hence ensuring that plants are getting enough water for their growth. So this was also practiced by the Persian civilization. They use also the similar method. So the origin of drip irrigation was from China, and they introduced it through drip irrigation, whereby they buried these kinds of pots underground and then ensure that the water is seeping, and so that the plants are getting enough water for the growth. And then to the modern drip irrigation, it was developed in Israel in 1960s. Just imagine, 1960s. I wasn't even born. I know most of you did not even were not even born. So if it was developed in 1960 by an engineer called Simcha Blas and his son Yeshayahu. So they developed this thing. How do you think they developed this thing? You know what gave them an idea of how to develop drip irrigation? So it goes like this. In modern drip irrigation, it was developed in Israel. I said that it was developed in Israel in 1960s. So through this man called Simcha Blas and his son Yeshayahu, they saw that they identified a very tall tree in the middle of the forest. So in this forest, it was surrounded by many other trees, and they saw that there is this one tree which kept growing taller and taller, and yet all the trees were getting enough supply of water, and all the trees were getting the same amount of water. When it rains to all the plants, and the plants are growing to the same height because they are getting the same amount of nutrients, the same amount of water. So when they noticed that this tall tree is growing out of nowhere, it is growing each and every time, they decided that they should investigate what is really happening. So that is when they realized that there was a water source that was leaking. So when it was leaking on this tree. So the tree kept absorbing water and growing even tall and taller. So that is how they started this drip irrigation. That is how this idea of drip irrigation came to them. So when they saw that when the water gets enough water supply, it grows even bigger. They knew that this was a good idea of also conserving water. Through this tree consumed the water each and every day because the water was dripping in small amount, and it got enough water. So this gave them an idea of what really drip irrigation is. And then there were further developments after engineer Simcha Blas and his son introduced drip irrigation to everybody else. So the further developments included Mr. Blas, the one who invented this drip irrigation, the one who came with this idea of drip irrigation after identifying that tree. He collaborated with Kibbutz, he's called Kibbutz, to create an irrigation company called Metarism, so which further developed and commercialized the drip irrigation technology. So they created a new type of emitter that released water at a slow, steady rate. So after getting this kind of information, this kind of idea, he decided to implement this idea. He decided to make use of this idea to even educate more farmers. Through this, they were able to collaborate with Kibats. Blas was able to collaborate with Kibats to come up with more ideas on drip irrigation, and through this they introduced the emitters, which is also used up to date. So that is how drip irrigation continued to emerge, and also it has impacted a lot of people inside and outside the society. And then there was and now after they introduced this kind of drip irrigation, introduced the meters, now it is spread globally, and then it was globally adopted. And over decade, it spread across the world, especially in regions facing water scarcity. We are aware that many farmers outside there are affected with this water shortage, especially in arid and semi-arid areas. Droughts often affect such kind of areas. When they affect these kind of areas, they face a lot of water scarcity and they don't know what to do. So through this, this method of drip irrigation was adopted globally. The technology was continually improved and refined with innovations, different kinds of innovations, such as there was a pressure compassuring, there was a meter, surface drip irrigation, integration with fertigation, etc. Integration with fertigation is whereby they apply fertilizers inside the water. They took the fertilizers, put them inside the water, and then ensure that the drip irrigation was placed on the plants. So when the drip irrigation occurred, the plants got enough, they got enough fertilizers. So it's also they also included automation, smart agriculture, which is the use of sensors and automation to deliver the right amount of water. So through this, the global adoption continues to improve drip irrigation in different ways, and also that is the way of growing. As a farmer, you have to find different ways of continuing improving your systems, improving your farming techniques, so that when it comes the time for applying different kinds of things, including chemicals, including fertilizers or any other thing, you have this knowledge. You have this knowledge of improving more and becoming even more sustained. So back to the topic of the day of drip irrigation. So I even realized that I haven't still told you about drip irrigation. I know some things, some people outside there don't know what drip irrigation is. When you hear drip irrigation, what comes into your mind? What do you think about? First of all, when you hear drip, you imagine something dripping. It can be water, it can be milk, it can be anything else. But now, when you hear drip, it's a liquid, of course. So, but now we are talking about drip irrigation. That is water. We are using water. So, drip irrigation is a type of micro irrigation system that has the potential to save water and nutrients by allowing water to drip slowly to the roots of plants, either from above the soil or surface or buried below the soil surface. So drip irrigation has this ability of conserving water, making sure that the plants are getting enough water supply. So the goal is to place water directly into the root zone and minimize evaporation. So they ensure that there is no water lost, because when they place these emitters, they place it near the roots of the plant so that there is no chance of evaporation. So the water gets directly into the plant, hence the plant consumes water. So it also distributes water through pipes, tubing, and emitters. So drip irrigation, you can also use tubes and pipes to distribute water to your plants. I remember in high school and also in primary school, we practiced drip irrigation, but we never used tubings or the pipes. We were using bottles actually. We were putting a lot of water in the bottle, and then you put it upside down near where the plant is. So through that, the plant gets water slowly. it takes water from the bottle slowly by slowly, and even in a week you can put one bottle and it can consume it without a week, slowly by slowly. So that is like saving water instead of just pouring water like that without knowing when the water will be of use. So that is a very good kind of irrigation system. Drip irrigation is a very good thing because it saves a lot of people. Apart from that, we are going to talk about different types of drip irrigation, but I'll come back to that. Anyway, continue watching us. We are live on YouTube at Farmers Media, on Facebook at Farmers Media, on our website www.farmers.com. Once again, this is our Farmers Media where we connect, learn, and grow. Now, let's go to the types of drip irrigation. We have different types of drip irrigation. One of them is surface drip irrigation. Surface drip irrigation, when you hear surface drip irrigation, you imagine of a surface where water gets into and then the plants are able to consume this kind of water. So surface drip irrigation is the most common type of drip irrigation. This is where drip lines or taps are placed on the surface of the soil. So you make sure that these tubes are placed on the surface of the soil. Through these, they have these holes, the holes now that are supplying water. So they are able to drip in each and every plant slowly by slowly. So this is very common because a lot of farmers outside there are practicing surface drip irrigation. So the drip tape, that is the inlet drip system, or attached externally online drip system, are able to control the amount of water that the plants consume. So through that, the plants are getting water, they are getting enough water. This makes them grow even more and more. And then there is subsurface drip system. Subsurface drip system, this drip tape is buried beneath the soil surface. So in the first one we said surface drip system, and then this is the second one, subsurface drip system. Wow, these words are so hard to say. So surface drip system, the tubes were placed on the ground, but now subsurface drip system, the tubes are placed inside, are buried beneath the soil surface. This helps reduce evaporation. It also helps to reduce evaporation. First of all, this is even much better than surface drip irrigation because there is no amount of water that can go wasted because the soil will be able to absorb all the water in that beneath the soil. So this helps reduce evaporation and is particularly useful for crops that require high water quantities. You see, crops that require high water quantities can be able to use this subsurface drip system because they'll be able to get enough water because the water is supplied directly to this kind of plants, and it is also supplied in quantities that are able to consume. So, and it is particularly useful for different types of crops. You can use this type of irrigation for different types of crops, and also it prevents damage to irrigation equipment. You see, unlike surface drip system, subsurface drip system, its pipes are buried underground. So let's say, for example, an elephant gets into your farm. It will when it steps on these pipes, they can break, they can burst. You see, but when it is underground, even if it steps on it, it can't cause much damage, unlike when it is on the surface. It will be able to also minimize the cost of buying new equipment because you are going to use this subsurface drip irrigation. You ensure that your pipes are underneath, they are beneath the soil surface. So this is also another method, another type of drip irrigation, and then we have another type of drip irrigation, that is soaker hose system. So soaker hose system, these are much like service systems, but they utilize a porous hose that leaks water along its entire length. Can be useful for watering long straight rows of plants. So soaker hose system has these porous holes that leaks water along its entire length. You find that this kind of soaker hose system, they are placed on plants that are especially grown in rows. There are other plants that are grown in very long rows. So when they are grown in these long rows, it is good to use soccer hose system, because through this your plants will be able to get enough water, since these holes, these porous holes, will be able to drip water slowly by slowly until the plant gets enough water for its growth. And then the fourth one is emitter drip system. What do you think when you hear emitter drip system? Anyway, it's a network of tubes. It's placed around the garden or farms. So these are just many tubes that are connected together. So through this tube, these tubes are placed around the farm or your garden. So these tubes are attached to small emitter devices that drip water near the hose of your plants. So each and every tube has this small emitter device, which makes it drip water. So this system allows you to control how much water each plant receives, making it a good choice for a garden with a variety of plants or types. You know, when you have different types of plants, when you have different types of trees, different plants, different types of trees, they consume different amount of water. You can't tell me an avocado tree consumes the same water as a maize plant. You can't tell me that, because an avocado tree can consume more water than a maize plant, you see. So through this emitter drip system, you are able to control the amount of water which each plant can be able to consume. So when applying these types of tubes, you ensure that the emitters are dripping water to these specific plants. When you place these tubes in different around the farm or your garden, you place each in different plants, you are able to control the amount of water. If the avocado requires a lot of water, then you'll be able to apply this water. But if it doesn't require that much water, you are able to control what amount of water to supply to this kind of plant. And then to the fifth one, to the fifth type of drip irrigation, there is micro bubbler drip irrigation. Micro bubbler drip irrigation, it uses devices called micro bubblers. What do you understand by micro bubblers? First of all, when you hear micro, that is a tiny thing. We were taught in biology to differentiate between macro and micro. So when you hear microorganisms, these are organisms that are tiny. But when you hear macroorganisms, they are organisms that can be seen with the naked eye. That is what we learned when we were in biology, when we were learning biology in high school. But I'll encourage all the farmers to use drip irrigation, because drip irrigation doesn't have that control of different kinds of systems. So you can be able, it varies. You can be able to use different types of irrigation. You can use subsurface, you can use surface irrigation, you can use soaker hose system, and you can also use emitter drip system. And then you can also use micro bubbler drip irrigation. As I said earlier, it uses devices called micro bubblers. The devices distribute water in a small area, not just a single point. Like for example, let's take an example of soaker hose system. They drip water in a specific plant in a single point, but it is not for the same case as micro bubbler drip irrigation. So micro bubbler drip irrigation, they do not really supply water in a single area. They supply water in different areas of plants. Like they supply around the plant. It is not only a single spot. So these devices distribute water in a small area, not just a single point. They are particularly useful for trees and shrubs. You see, especially if you are growing trees, you know, there are different farmers outside there. There are others who are growing trees. There are others who are growing plants. There are others who are growing shrubs. So when you say that I'm going to grow, maybe you're a farmer from an arid or semi-arid area, or you're from an area where it is mostly affected by drought, and you want to and you want to make sure that you want to conserve this amount of water, you want to conserve your water to avoid this kind of drought, then you are encouraged to use microbial drip irrigation, because it can be able to supply enough water for your plant, especially if you are growing trees. Anyway, don't forget to continue watching us, and don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe in YouTube. We are Farmers Media in YouTube, we are Farmers Media in Facebook, and on our website, you are www.farmersmedia.com. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Again, this is a Farmers Media where we connect, learn, and grow. Anyway, we still have another type of drip irrigation, but first of all, let's take a small sip of water and then we'll be back.
Drip irrigation is a type of micro-irrigation system that has potential to save water and nutrients by allowing water to drip slowly to the roots of the plants, either from above the soil surface or buried below the surface. The goal is to place water directly into the root zone and minimize evaporation. This system is very efficient because it delivers water directly to the plant roots, reducing water waste. It's often used in arid regions or during periods of water shortage, but it's also used in more temperate climates for its efficient and conservation benefits. Common uses include vegetable gardens, flower beds, trees, shrubs, and agroforests. It can be set up for both small-scale home gardens and large-scale agricultural operations. The system requires a water source, a method to distribute the water, usually tubes and hoses, and emitters which control the amount of water delivered.
Welcome again. Welcome to our Farmers Media where we connect, learn, and grow. Once again, I'm your host, Regina INI. We were talking about drip irrigation. I was educating you on different types of irrigation, and I'm sure that a lot of you out there are interested in knowing more about this type of drip irrigation. We're talking about different types of irrigation, including soaker hose systems, surface drip irrigation, subsurface drip system, microbubbler drip irrigation, and now we are going to go to the next drip irrigation type, that is drip tape. But before I go to drip tape, I'd like to ask you guys, as a farmer, what type of drip irrigation would you like to use, and why? Maybe you can tell me the reason why you feel this type of irrigation is useful, this type of irrigation is not useful. Maybe you can tell me in a comment section. And again, we are live on Facebook at Farmers Media. We are live on YouTube at Farmers Media. And find us on our website at www.farmersmedia.com. Again, this is our Farmers Media where we connect, learn, and grow. Welcome to our Farmers Mid Morning Show where we connect, learn, and grow. So we are going to drip irrigation. Drip irrigation uses a DIN tube with pre-installed emitters at intervals. You can picture it. It's a tube. It has these emitters at the intervals, and then it's appropriate for crops being grown in different parts of the country, especially in those that are mostly affected by droughts. And then it is an effective solution for row crops. As I was talking earlier, I told you that row crops, these are crops that are grown in rows. Yeah, like they put very long rows. So if you can use drip tape for these kind of crops, and then it is also, but the other thing about this drip tape, everything comes with its advantages and its disadvantages. Drip tape has it has many advantages, but also it has a disadvantage. One of the disadvantage of drip tape is that it is less durable than other types of drip irrigation. This is because it has these thin emitters. It has this thin tube. The tube that is used to make this kind of drip irrigation is very thin. So through this, it is less durable compared to the other. Have you ever noticed that when something is thin and it is exposed to sunlight, it starts crumbling, it starts tearing into pieces, small pieces. So when this kind of drip irrigation system is affected by maybe a lot of sunlight, it can dry. Hence, when you step on it, even or when the stones get into it, it automatically bursts. So that is not a good type of irrigation, but maybe others can tell us the advantages. Maybe you can look on the advantages and forget the disadvantages. Anyway, it is not durable, but as farmers, you have to find something that will last you for some time. You have to find something that will ensure that you are growing as a farmer. Ensures that you are not able to replace it and every time. So, of course, I have said a lot of good things about this drip irrigation, and still I'm going to add on the advantages of drip irrigation. One of the advantages is water efficiency. You know, it is very important to conserve water, especially people who come from drought affected areas, because water is an important source for a human livelihood. It is something that each and every human being requires. Even an animal requires water, a plant requires water, any living being requires water to survive. So, one advantages of using this drip irrigation is water efficiency. It delivers water directly to the root zone of a plant. Drip irrigation reduces the amount of water needed for successful growth. So if you want your plants to grow well, if you want to get a lot of yields, if you want to ensure that your plants are getting enough nutrients, enough water, you ensure that you use one kind of drip irrigation, one of your choice, that is. I've mentioned several drip irrigation systems, so you'll be able to choose one of those and ensure that you are using it. So through this, you'll be able to reduce the amount of water wastage, because the drip irrigation system supplies water directly to the roots of the plants, hence reducing also evaporation and other losses of water. That is one of the advantages, of which it is very good. If I was someone from a drought affected area, first of all, I'm from a semi-arid area, and most of the time we experience these seasons, drought seasons. We lack water, we walk miles and miles to look for water. And a person who is very smart enough can use drip irrigation to ensure that he or she is getting enough food supply. Through this drip irrigation, his plant will be able to grow well. But in drought affected areas, many people are ignoring the fact that drip irrigation can help reduce water shortage, and also it can help conserve water. But you find that they still use other methods of farming. They supply water. You see that a farmer is fetching water each and every day from a very far place, that is kilometers and kilometers. They are fetching water and bring them to the farm, and then they just pour like that. I'm still going to talk of the disadvantages or the challenges that farmers are facing through this drip irrigation system. So, if you are from these semi-arid areas or arid areas or any area that is usually affected by drought, I really encourage you to use drip irrigation, because you'll be able to conserve your water, not only water but also nutrients for your plants, and also conserving the environment. So drip irrigation is a good form of water conservation method. Adding to another advantage of drip irrigation, it's the nutrients efficiency. You know, fertilizers can be mixed into the water that you put into that pipe, that will be able to be supplied to your plants. So what is applied in a method called fertigation is placed in the plant. So fertigation is the process by which you take fertilizers, input it into the water, and then supply it to the plants through this drip irrigation. So drip irrigation, when you supply this amount of water, you put your fertilizers into the water, and then you ensure that your plants are getting this kind of water through one type of drip irrigation. That will be a very good thing, because first of all, your plants will be able to get enough nutrients. They'll be able to grow well. You'll have a successful harvest because your plants have gotten a good amount of nutrients. They are growing healthy, and happy plants, happy farmers. So when you see that your plants are growing healthy, of course you'll be very happy. You will know that at least I did something good. At least this is helping me, and at least I'm able to provide enough amount of food for my family, or I'm able to get profits for the market. So through this kind of irrigation, that is the use of fertigation method, you are able to supply enough nutrients to your plants. So and another one is flexibility. This can be very advantageous to many other farmers, especially those who have a lot of work. Not all farmers are only concentrating on farming activities. There are different farmers outside there. There are others who are running shops at the same time. They are doing farming. There are others who are teachers at the same time. They are farmers. You can have two occupations. You can be a farmer and still be a teacher. I've had a lot of people questioning, saying that farmers cannot be teachers, farmers cannot. Of course, farmers can be teachers, of course, yeah. They can be teachers, very good teachers. They can teach you something that you will never learn from anywhere else. Anyway, farmers can be any other occupations. You can be a farmer and still have another occupation. And I laughed one time when I was in town, and when it was time to board the bus, I was in the bus and I had two women talking to each other. One of them said, I don't know what they were watching online, and one of them said that, can you look at this? She was showing her a picture of a certain girl who was dressed very well. He was wearing makeup, heels, but she was in an interview saying that she is a farmer. She owns acres and acres of land. She digs, she does everything that a farmer can do. She uproots weeds, and those women were in a discussion, and they were like, no, this can't be true. This girl is too beautiful. She has lipstick on, she has makeup, she's wearing heels. How come she's a farmer? Of course, don't just get used to seeing farmers wearing aprons, those overalls, and seeing them with dirty hands. Of course, farmers can be very beautiful. That is why we were championing on changing the face of a farmer, because farmers are very different types. Farmers are very clever people, they are very good people, and they can wear however. You can find that a farmer is driving a limousine or a Lamborghini, and when he tells you that he's a farmer, you won't be surprised, because farmers are a source of our livelihood. They are people who are ensuring that we eat. And when you see a farmer, you see someone who is there for you, someone who is ready to give you what you eat daily. So respect farmers. Farmers can be very educative. They can be teachers. They can be any other profession. So if you want to be a farmer, then be one. Anyway, another one is another advantage is flexibility. I was talking about flexibility. If you have two occupations and you see that I need time and I want to take I want to ensure that my crops are growing well, at the same time I want to be a teacher, then drip irrigation is one form of that can give you flexibility, because it can be customized to the needs of specific crops or plants. You won't be able to get worried that this plant is not getting the right amount of water, this plant is not growing well, because through drip irrigation You can be able to monitor the amount of water that you supply to your plants. So it also allows tailored watering schedule and amount. So you are able to measure the amount of water that you are going to give each and every plant, and you are able to schedule and say, I'm going to supply the water to the plants in the morning at this time, and then in the evening at this time. So through that, you don't have to worry that your plants are going to dry up. So you'll be able to run your business very flexibly because your plants are growing, they feel well. You are in the school, you are teaching kids, knowing that you are a happy farmer. Your plants are growing well. You have supplied enough water. You have scheduled the amount of water to be given to plants in different times. And then there is weed control. You know, drip irrigation is one form of controlling weeds in your farm. A lot of farmers tend to wonder where are all these weeds coming from. You tend to see that weeds are supplying in your farm. They are growing in large quantities, and you ask yourself, where does these weeds come from? How can I get rid of these weeds? Of course, one form of getting rid of these weeds is using drip irrigation. So through drip irrigation, you are able to supply water to only your plants. The weeds cannot survive in a place where there is no water. So through that, they won't have competition with your plants. They won't compete for nutrients. They won't compete for fertilizers. So your plants will be able to grow healthy. So, if you want to ensure that these weeds are not growing well, you can use one form of drip irrigation. Let's say you are using the surface irrigation. You directly put the water to drop directly the root of your plants. So through this, your plants are growing well, they are growing healthy, they are getting nutrients, so the weeds are not growing. You'll be able to minimize the cost of chemicals. You know, you will be able to minimize your time. Like you'll be able to save your time. Instead of going around uprooting these kind of weeds, use drip irrigation. Weeds can hurt you. They can hurt your arms during the uprooting if you decide to use the hand picking method. Or when you use chemicals, it can affect your plants. Some plants will get burnt very badly, and then you'll end up losing a lot of harvest. And other plants can succumb to these kind of chemicals. And also, you'll be able to ruin your soil fertility if you decide to use chemicals. So through this drip irrigation, it enhances weed control. You're able to control this kind of weeds. You're able to get rid of them because they can't get water. They can't share water with your plants. So through that, they have no chance of survival in that kind of field. They have no chance of survival in an environment where they are not getting any amount of water or nutrients that enable them to grow. And then there is reduced disease. So this method can help control fungal diseases which may spread in the plants that are watered from above. I said in the previous session, I think it was last week, I was telling people that I heard that you should not water the plants from the up, like you water the leaves and everything. You should water the roots most of the times. So in these conditions such as drip irrigation, you can be able to avoid this kind of fungal infections that can form in the leaves of your plants because there is no chance of supplying water in the leaves of your plants because you are supplying directly the roots of the plants. So through this, you are able to get rid of this kind of diseases. You know, water comes in different types of diseases. There are people who are supplying water to their farms. They are taking water from the wells, others are taking from other types of sources. And you know that when supplying water to the plant, it's not that the water is always purely clean. Of course, it has some diseases. So when you find that water has fungal diseases and you tend to supply this water to the leaves of your plants, they can get infected and thus you lose a lot of harvest. So through drip irrigation, you'll be able to reduce these kind of diseases such as fungal diseases that may spread in your plants. So you'll be able to conserve your harvest. And then we are going to dwell into environmental impact. But before I dwell into environmental impact, I'll add my listeners to continue listening. And again, this is a Farmers Media where we connect and learn and grow. And like every day, make sure you follow us on our social media handles at YouTube at the Farmers Media, in Facebook at the Farmers Media, in our website at www.farmersmedia. This is the Farmers Media where we connect, learn, and grow. Now, to the environmental impacts, there is water conservation. We conserve water in different kind of ways in drip irrigation. One of the way of conserving water in drip irrigation is through reduction of water evaporation. Evaporation leads to loss of a lot of water. A lot of water tend to evaporate into the air. They just go into the thin air. This makes your plants lack enough water, and they can experience dryness. You'll see that the leaves of your plant are starting to dry. So through drip irrigation, you're able to conserve water because the water is applied directly to the root of the plant. Hence, the plant consumes water without any more struggles. So, as farmers, you have to find ways of conserving water. Water is very precious, especially if water is scarce in your area. So make sure that you conserve water so that your future generations will not be able to suffer. And then there is prevent soil erosion. A lot of farmers practice over irrigation, and this is a type of irrigation that has affected plants in general, including the soil. So, when I say that it prevents soil erosion, you find that over irrigation can lead to soil erosion, washing away the fertile topsoil. So you find that the fertile topsoil is being swept due to over irrigation. This is where you take the water and just pour. It can be in trenches, it can be you pour them directly into the plants, or it can be in rows. So without the use of drip irrigation. So this can lead to over irrigation, which in return sweeps the top fertile soils to the further end or even to the other areas. So through this, your plants will succumb. They will all die because they are lacking fertile soil. They can't thrive in an environment that's not fertile. Of course, I can take an example of a baby. When a baby is suckling, it can sense when the milk is not there. It can even bite the mother. It can bite the mother, showing that there is no milk, or it can start crying. So that applies to the effect of drip irrigations to the plants. When the water is supplying. When drip irrigation water is applied to the plant is able to grow. And when it senses that there is no water coming, there is no more water, or there is no fertile soil, it can take water, yes, but if the soil is not fertile, then your plant will experience stunted growth. They won't be able to grow well because the soil are not fertile, and without nutrients, there is no way you can tell me that your soil will grow, your plants will grow well. So make sure that your plants are watered well using drip irrigation and not over irrigation. So another one is reduce leaching. So it reduces the chances of water leaching away. Essential nutrients from the soil prevent the leaching of fertilizers into groundwater, thus protecting water quality. You find that when you are supplying water in your plants through drip irrigation, you are able to conserve a lot of things. First of all, you are able to control weeds, that is, you are able to control the competition between the weeds and your plants for water. And then you are able to control the competition for sunlight between the weeds and your plants. Because without water, the weeds cannot grow taller than your plants, and hence cannot block your plants from getting enough sunlight. And then the other one, it reduces leaching. When you put water, when you practice over irrigation, that is, when you take water, when you don't practice drip irrigation, you use other forms of irrigations. such as watering plants directly. It can cause a lot of things to your, it can damage a lot of things, including the soil, including the underground water, etc. So, when you are supplying water to your plants, we tend to find that when you supply in large quantities, and you know that you have applied fertilizers in this plant, you are now waiting for the plants to grow well, you are now waiting for the harvest, but you find that these plants are not really growing according to your expectations. And then you start wondering what might be the cause. Why are my plants not growing according to how I am doing? I've done everything. I've watered the plants, I've put the fertilizer, I've tested the soil pH, but the plants are not growing. I've also supplied enough nutrients, I've put enough fertilizers, but listen, you don't know what is really happening. You don't know because there is leaching. There is leaching because you are supplying the plant with too much water. So through that, the water gets into the soil. It absorbs all the nutrients about that soil. It takes all the fertilizers, all the nutrients you have worked hard to put into that plant. The water takes the leaches all these nutrients and takes them to the underground. So when it reaches the underground, it pollutes the underground water. So this causes the plants to experience stunted growth because its nutrients have been leached away. It has been taken to the trenches, it has been taken outside somewhere else, it has been taken to pollute the water underground. So if you practice this drip irrigation, you can also avoid leaching. It reduces leaching since the water is directly supplied into the plant. So the nutrients around that plant are absorbed by plants comfortably without any more struggle, very much struggle. And then there is energy conservation. You know, a lot of plants, a lot of other system of irrigation consume a lot of energy. But drip irrigation operates at a much lower pressures than other type of irrigation systems, leading to less energy consumption. You see, there are other types of irrigations, including the pumping the water. You know, it uses a lot of energy. You find that you have used energy, so much energy, in a small period of time. You have used so much energy in small amount of plants. So through that, through drip irrigation, you are able to conserve this kind of energy because it evaporates in a much lower pressure. The water coming from the pipes are coming from, they are coming at a low pace, they are coming in lower pressure. But you find that when you're passing around some farms that are practicing other forms of irrigation, maybe supplying water on their trenches during this planting season. So when they are supplying water in the trenches, you will hear the pipes. They are producing a certain kind of sound, a very loud sound. You can hear it from a very far place. That is a lot of energy consumed because for that water to be supplied that way, it has to consume a lot of energy. The pressure needed requires a lot of energy, but that is not the same case as drip irrigation because drip irrigation's water supply, when the water is led through these kind of pipes that are used for drip irrigation, they are placed in small pressure, small amount of water, and also small little pressure is inserted. So through that, the plants get water at a low pace, and then they consume water in longer periods compared to other form of irrigation. And you know that through that you cannot be able to waste water because the water goes directly to the plant. But other forms of irrigation, the ground, the water can be sucked by the ground. The ground sucks all the water remaining and for the plants. And also you have put these fertilizers inside this water. You have put the chemicals inside this water with the aim of getting rid of insects. But instead, the water goes underground, and thus polluting the underground water. And then the other environmental impact is reduced carbon dioxide emissions. By optimizing water and reducing the need for fertilizers, it can help lower carbon dioxide emissions related to agricultural practices. You know, a lot of farmers and a lot of environmentalists have really complained about the carbon dioxide produced by farmers, how the farmers are polluting the environment. But also through this, you can be able, through drip irrigation, you can be able to reduce this kind of the amount of water you're supplying to your plants. So, by optimizing water and reducing the need for fertilizers, you can be able to lower these carbon dioxide emissions. And also, less water pumping means less use of electricity or fossil fuels, which contribute to carbon dioxide. You know, I've just said in my previous point that drip irrigation conserves energy. Yes, it does conserve energy. And through the consumption of energy, there is no fossil emissions. The amount of fossil emissions that they emit is very small. It is emitted in low quantities compared to other types of drip irrigation that consumes more energy. So when these drip irrigations produces this small amount of uh, pressure during the watering of plants or during the drip irrigation process, they are able to reduce carbon dioxide produced, which ends in polluting environment. So when you produce this small amount of energy, you are also creating a good impact on the environment. At least you are not getting rid of it completely, but at least you are doing something towards emitting it, towards getting rid of it. So when you practice drip irrigation, it's also a form of conserving environment. It's a form of ensuring that our environment is clean, free from these fossils emissions, free from these things that can affect us in general. So I've said a lot of things about how these drip irrigations impact the environment, but now I'm going to talk about the global impact. How has this drip irrigation impacted us globally, or how has it impacted us in general? So one of them is improving food production. Through drip irrigation, the plants are able to grow well, they are able to get enough nutrient supply, they are able to consume fertilizers in a more good way, they are able to avoid these chemicals by using these pesticides. When you use these pesticides, they affect our plants in different ways. There are other plants that can die out of excessive chemicals. There are other plants that can be affected by pest resistance, like chemical resistant pest that can affect your plants very badly, because you try to get rid of this pest by supplying a lot of chemicals. But through this, you end up ensuring that you end up killing your plants. Other plants get burnt and they die. But when you use drip irrigation, you are able to reduce these kind of pests and diseases, because the water contains nutrients. It contains nutrients, enough nutrients for your plants. It contains fertilizers, through fertigation. So when you supply this kind of water to your plants that contains these nutrients and fertilizers, your plants are able to grow healthy, making them even more resistant to these pests and diseases. So one of the impact that it has created, drip irrigation has created globally, is improving food production. So the plants are able to grow even much better. They are able to supply food that is very sustainable. They are able to produce healthy foods. And in the process, the farmers are not losing a lot from this kind of irrigation, because the plants are growing healthy, they are getting enough nutrients, they are getting enough water. So through this, they are harvesting heavily, they are harvesting a lot of food that is very sustainable and can be supplied globally to different parts of the country. And then we have expanding agriculture. Global farming can be expanded into regions previously considered unsuitable due to lack of water. There are different regions in the country that people believe that there is no farming that can happen there. But I can give example of Turkana. A lot of people have said that Turkana is very dry according to what they see in the clips. They have seen that it is very dry, there are no trees, the animals are dying, and most of them think that there is no kind of farming that can take place in Turkana. Even if you tell someone there is farming going on in Turkana, and that person has that mindset of Turkana is dry. It is always affected by drought. But when you tell them that there is farming going on in that area, they won't be able to believe it. But nowadays, due to introduction of drip irrigation system, we are able to carry out that kind of irrigation. A lot of people actually in Turkana have started farming, and most of them are using this drip irrigation system. They have dug wells. These wells, they ensure that it is sustainable for the growth of the plants. So through this, they are taking water. The people in Turkana are able to use drip irrigation. Through this, they are able to supply their plants with water, which can sustain them even longer. So this kind of regions that have water scarcity, including other regions. If you know a region that has water scarcity, it is good that you encourage them that these are the kind of things that they can practice to ensure that there is no water scarcity. So it has expanded agriculture in different parts of the world, including those parts that cannot practice agriculture. But through this drip irrigation, they are able to practice this type of agriculture. So isn't it very good news that all the areas, including semi-arid areas, including arid areas, are able to practice this drip irrigation? It is a very good thing because through this, there are no areas that can succumb. There are no areas that people can die out of anger due to the fact that they are not able to practice farming. So in different parts of the world, people are practicing this drip irrigation, and through this, it has expanded agriculture in general. Different people from different worlds can now farm, unlike their situations. If it is drought time, at least they can be able to conserve a small amount of water for their crops. And through this, they are able to harvest. Even in drought conditions, they are getting food supply for themselves. And then there is conserving water resources. That is another global impact. As the world population continues to grow, so does the demand for fresh water. I heard that there was a water source identified in Turkana that can supply water for decades to the country. And that is also a good thing. If you identify a water source, then it will be good to conserve it. It will be good to conserve it because you never know what will happen in the future. So another global impact I would say is that it conserves water resources. It ensures the water is available for future generation. Through this, you have this amount of water. It is enough. Even if you have excess amount of water, never misuse it because you never know. You never know. Anything can happen. I was talking about climate. Climate can change. When it changes, and you never know when it will change. Climate just changes over time. But the weather is the one that changes. It can change any time. But climate takes a while to change. So you never know what will happen in the future. So make sure that you conserve enough water for your future generation. You might say that I'm old enough, I'm going to use water however I want. Of course, there are your grandchildren who will come to use that amount of water. There are other people who want to use this water. So make sure that you conserve water for your future generation through this drip irrigation because you are able to conserve a lot of water. And then there is climate change adaptation. As climate change alters weather patterns and leads as climate change weather patterns and leads to more frequent and severe droughts, drip irrigation offers a way for farmers to continue producing food using less water. I've just said that I've been saying this most of the time because I never knew that climate is different from weather. I used to take them as one and the same thing. I used to say that climate is just water, like it's just weather. But I came to realize that there is actually a difference between climate and weather. Climate changes over time, but weather can change anytime. It may be windy and then kidogo kidogo kunanyesha, but climate can take time. You can be able to study climate. You can be able to know that it changes over time. There is a season for drought, there is a season for rain. So climate changes without any notice. So it alters weather and also it alters weather patterns. And also drip irrigation offers a way for farmers to continue producing food using this water. And then of course everything comes with its challenges. First of all, before I dive on challenges of drip irrigation, I encourage you guys to continue watching me live, continue subscribing, make sure that you subscribe, follow us on YouTube at Farmers Media, on Facebook at Farmers Media, on our website at www.farmersmedia.com. And also to all farmers outside there, to all the young farmers who want to be farmers, or who really want to be farmers, it is very easy to become a farmer. You just have to have a basic knowledge and also research on what you want to do. But if you are really passionate about farming, then indulge in it, because farming is not only for different kinds of people or for certain age. Anybody can be a farmer. Even a 3-year-old can be a farmer. Yesterday I watched a clip in YouTube about a 15-year-old who is a farmer, and he was growing cabbages, maize, and he was so impressed because never have I thought in my life that there will be such a young farmer at such a young age. Imagine buying a car at such a young age just because you're a farmer. So farming is a profession for many. It doesn't discriminate. You can be young and still farm, you can be old and still farm. So it really depends on passion. And to all farmers outside there, I encourage you to continue farming and continue listening to us, because this is a Farmers Media where we connect, learn and grow. And if you also have experience with drip irrigation, maybe you know that I have this method of drip irrigation that can help farmers outside there. Maybe you can tell us, you can book an appointment. Just click book appointment in our website at Facebook. Then be able to talk to us. It's also good to educate other farmers. It's good to educate farmers outside there, because farmers are really doing a great job outside there. And through your success stories, by coming here and join us for an interview, we share with you, other farmers can be able to get the success. They are able to see you as their role model. You know, people love seeing others succeed, and also through that it motivates them to want to succeed even further. So when a farmer sees his fellow farmers doing good there, and you come here and tell us how you did good, how this happened, how you achieved your success, of course other farmers will be able to really imitate. They'll be able to take you as their role model. They'll come forward and ask you, how did you achieve this success? And there is nothing more important, and nothing feels good like telling others how you succeeded. Because through that, you are not only educating yourself, you are also educating others. You are also sharing experiences and contributing to more sustainable food and food security. So again, this is a mid-morning show. This is the one and only show that takes us to the deep understanding, to the world of deep understanding of what really fuels our farms. Back to the challenges of drip irrigation. Drip irrigation, the first challenge is initial investment cost. It is less affordable to small scale farmers. When you find it that one challenge is that initial investment cost. When you start this drip irrigation, of course, there are other expenses that come with it. You find that I need the pipes, I need the labor, I need certain equipment, I need technology, I need knowledge. So you need a lot of things for you to start this irrigation. And for small farmers, it can be a challenge for small scale farmers because maybe they won't be able to afford this kind of farms because they can be very, very expensive. So to farmers with small scale farms, it can be a challenge to them because this is not just something you wake up one day and start doing. It is a process. It is something that you have to overthink. It is something that you have to oversee. When you ensure that I have this knowledge of drip irrigation, I've studied, I've researched, I have enough knowledge of drip irrigation, and this is what I want to do. I've studied the advantages, I've studied the disadvantages of drip irrigation, and now I want to do this drip irrigation. So if you want to do it, make sure you also have enough income. But it is not also very cheap to conduct drip irrigation because you also have to regularly change the pipes or the tubes you are using on your drip irrigation. You have to do a lot of stuff for you to succeed with this drip irrigation. Another challenge is clogging. When you hear clogging, it is whereby something is blocking the water from coming out. So clogging can occur due to mineral buildup from hard water. When we were studying chemistry, there was hard water and soft water. And hard water was the water you fetch from the river or any other thing, lakes or any other place. But soft water are the water that has can be water from the rain, that is soft water. But now, of course, you can't supply your water with soft water every day because that will also be an expense. But if it is raining daily, then it will be good. But that is not drip irrigation. But as for drip irrigation, most of the farmers, like majority of the farmers, use hard water, and that applies to different types of people, especially people from rural areas. Farmers from rural areas, they use hard water because it is very hard to get soft water, especially in drought areas. Soft water can be can be another challenge. So most of the farmers use hard water, and through this hard water, it can cause algae growth or even small particles from this kind of water. Water is not always pure, especially water for the farms. You can be careful to consider your water clean. You can be careful to ensure that your water undergoes through the dispenser. You have applied, you put good chemicals that kill bacteria inside your drinking water. But not all the time is the water clean for farms. For example, you know very well that you are going to supply this water to the farm. You can't tell me that you will treat this water the way you treat your water. You put in a dispenser and then put in your plant. That is a long process and that can not happen even. Maybe if you have a homegrown, you can't even do that in homegrown. Anyway, so it causes clogging. So through this, the hard water, you see that when it evaporates, there is some formations. So this formation can cause the clogging, hence preventing the water from supplying to other plants. And also the algae growth. This algae, it blocks the water from passing through, the water from going to the plants. And algae is also dangerous. It is very dangerous for the plants. And it mostly grows in areas where there is water. So it can grow inside these pipes, hence blocking the water supplies. And also small water from particles. You can find that there are stones, maybe stones in these pipes. There are maybe other different particles that can form during this supply of drip irrigation. So when they form, you find that the pipes are clogged, hence preventing water from getting into the plant's roots. And then there is maintenance. That is another crucial step because people just think that it is about buying the pipes, supplying them to your crops, and ensuring that the water is flowing nicely. Of course, you have to maintain it. There is a maintenance cost. You have to overlook. You have to monitor what is really happening with these pipes. Are they supplying water to my crops? Are they ensuring that all the crops are getting water? So, regular maintenance to ensure they are functioning. Tubes can be damaged by weather, animals, or agricultural activities. So you make sure that you monitor, you maintain your pipes, these drip irrigation pipes or tubes or emitters. So once in a while, go through your farm, look at the pipes that need to be replaced because it can also be destroyed by different things. It can be destroyed by weather, can be destroyed by agricultural activities, or even can be destroyed by animals. When I say by agricultural activities, you find that sometimes you are trying to dig or maybe uproot or dig out some roots, dig out some weeds on your garden, and you end up hitting the pipes with your djembe. So through that, the pipes are cut, and thus it causes the water to stop from supplying to other plants. So when the water reaches to that point that you cut with your djembe, it pours onto the ground. It doesn't apply to the rest of the plant. So that is one of the agricultural activity that can cause these that can cause the water to stop from running. And then another one is that the animals. Not all the animals are very soft while they are on your garden. Of course, they can eat it without even looking back. For example, you can find maybe an air getting into the carrot field, or an elephant, or yeah, an elephant getting into your shamba. Of course, just imagine the weight of an elephant in your small garden. Just imagine the impact it can cause. So when it steps on this pipe, it bursts, hence releasing a very large amount of water. So when it releases the amount, you are going to lose a lot of water, your plants will dry, and you're going to experience a lot of losses, including the maintenance cost. So make sure that you are able to maintain your equipment at all costs. Make sure that your tubes are not damaged. So maintenance is also a crucial step. And if there are any pipes that need to be replaced, then replace them on time. And then another one is uniformity. So you ensure that your crops are very uniform. The pipes that you are putting onto your crops are very uniform. But first of all, don't forget to continue watching us. Don't forget to like us. Don't forget to subscribe on our social media handles at Facebook at Farmers Media, in YouTube at Farmers Media, and this is our Farmers where we connect, learn, and grow. And don't forget to click on our website at www.farmers.com. I'll take a break, and then when I get back, we are going to continue with the challenges of drip irrigation. And thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for taking your time to listen to me. And also thank you so much for deciding that you're going to listen to this show. I'm taking a break. I'll be back.
Drip irrigation is a type of micro-irrigation system that has potential to save water and nutrients by allowing water to drip slowly to the roots of the plants, either from above the soil surface or buried below the surface. The goal is to place water directly into the root zone and minimize evaporation. This system is very efficient because it delivers water directly to the plant roots, reducing water waste. It's often used in arid regions or during periods of water shortage, but it's also used in more temperate climates for its efficient and conservation benefits. Common uses include vegetable gardens, flower beds, trees, shrubs, and agroforests. It can be set up for both small-scale home gardens and large-scale agricultural operations. The system requires a water source, a method to distribute the water, usually tubes and hoses, and emitters which control the amount of water delivered.
Hello, once again, welcome to our Farmers Media, where we connect, learn, and grow. And this is the mid-morning show, the one and only show that takes us to the world of deep understanding of what really fuels our farms. We were talking about the challenges of drip irrigation, but first of all, I'd like to thank all of you for your unwavering support, for continuing watching this live. Thank you so much. Continue watching us on YouTube, at farmersmedia.com, on Facebook at farmersmedia.com, on our website at www.farmers.com. Welcome. So we are going to talk about, we were talking about the challenges, and one of the challenges I said was initial investment. I also said about clogging, I said about maintenance, and now we are at the uniformity. It can be challenging to ensure uniform water distribution, especially in uneven terrain. You find that you have placed your pipes or your tubes in different parts of your field. You find that other parts are raised, other parts are going like down. They are the equivalent in the EV, and then the other ones are up. So it is very challenging for you to distribute equal amount of water to each and every plant. You find that other plants get very little amount of water, that is very scarce, and also you find that other plants are not getting water at all. So in terrain places, if you practice this drip irrigation, it can be very challenging for you because the water cannot be uniform, or the plants can not experience uniformity. You find that I know most of the farmers outside there have experienced this. You find that one side of your field, the plants are very tall, but on the other side, the plants are not tall. They are very short. So in those cases, you find that it is because the land is terrain. So, and also the plants are not getting enough water. So there is no uniformity there. So that is another challenge of drip irrigation. Another one is design and management. It can be very complex and require knowledge and expertise. That's why I told you that before you engage in drip irrigation, make sure that you have researched, you have known the areas that can affect you. So, design and management can be very complex, and you find that you're not understanding anything. You're just practicing drip irrigation because you just want to practice drip irrigation. So make sure that you understand these complexities, because there is nothing that is simple. If something is bringing you profits, then there is an hardship somewhere. There is something that was hard on you for you to bring such kind of huge profits. So same applies to drip irrigation. That is one challenge, is the design. If you want to design this kind of drip irrigation, maybe you have chosen, I'm going to use subsurface irrigation. Then make sure that you consult the experts. Make sure that you find someone who knows very well how to design this kind of drip irrigation. If they are able to design for you, then well and good. You are able to experience a good harvest. You'll be able to ensure that your plants are growing healthy. And then the management. The management also matters. Choose different people or one person to manage your crops during this drip irrigation. So when you decide that I'm going to manage it myself, then be keen. Make sure that you are regularly checking on the plants. Make sure that you are regularly ensuring that there is no blockage of the pipes, and you're ensuring that the plants are getting enough water. And then the knowledge. You have to have the knowledge. There is nothing you can do in this world without knowledge. You can't tell me that I'm going to become a teacher, I want to teach this kind of school. Of course, there is no one will employ you if you don't have knowledge. No one will employ you if you don't have those certificates that proves that you are a teacher. So for you to prove that you can indeed do this drip irrigation, you have to prove it. You have to have that knowledge of drip irrigation. Go to the books, go on social media accounts. There are very many social media accounts outside there that are talking about drip irrigation or farming in general. One of them, I can refer you to our social media. You can go to our farmers club. You can join that group. There, you can be able to connect with a lot of farmers. You will be able to learn, to grow, and also make other good opportunities. You can meet also some sponsors there. You can be even very lucky enough to find farmers who are doing exactly what you are doing. So through that, you'll be able to learn the successes of their farms, you'll be able to listen to them, and also through that, you'll be able to get educated on how they really maneuver through this farming system. So when you have this knowledge, make sure you research well, go to social media, look for people practicing drip irrigation, make sure that you understand the challenges, the advantages, the disadvantages of this drip irrigation. Then you can also ask those people in the villages, maybe urban centers or rural centers. If you are going to start this drip irrigation, visit different farms that are practicing drip irrigation. See how well their crops are growing. Ask the farmers, what are you doing towards curbing this kind of challenge? The farmers will be able to tell you, and they'll be able to educate you further, so that when you decide that I'm going to go into this world of agriculture, then at least you have something on your head. And then of course, I've told you about a lot of challenges, and a lot of you are wondering, yes, you have told us these all challenges, but how can we curb these challenges? Yes, I'm going to tell you how to curb these challenges. One of the way of curbing these challenges, we only get answers from the challenges themselves. So one of them is cost effectiveness. Support from government subsidies or community initiatives can be good, because when you see that this is affecting me, I don't know what to do, but I'm doing this for the entire everybody. Like if the whole village is practicing this kind of farming, of course you can find support from the community initiatives or even from the government. Just like the case that happened today about the caterpillars. I was talking about the caterpillars are affecting the Kapsoya Limo, an area in Eldoret. The caterpillars were affecting a lot of farmers there, and it started a month ago. And of course, they found that they have to look for help from the government or any other from the community initiatives. So through that, I'm sure that they are going to get help from the government, subsidies, and also from the community initiatives. So to also have these challenges, you have to be cost effective also. Make sure that you are able to get support from these initiatives that are helping farmers outside there. The other one is filter system and regular checks. Make sure that you filter your systems, your drip irrigation systems. Other farmers are ignorant, and ignorance is a very bad thing. It can cost you a big deal. So when you are regularly checking up your crops, when you notice that these sides of crops, they are not getting water, or there is certain blockage in this thing, then filter your crops. Regularly make sure that you filter this drip irrigation system to ensure that your plants are not affected with any way, and to ensure that your plants are getting enough supply of water. So make sure that you are going there regularly. You're checking that your plants are getting enough water. You're checking that there is no blockage. You're checking that there are no weeds that are growing or that are competing for nutrients, with your plants. And then the other one is proper maintenance. So make sure that you are flushing the system at the start and at the end of the session, and protecting it during the off seasons. So When you tell me that today I'm going to schedule the drip irrigation to take place at in the morning and then end at maybe at this time in the noon. So make sure that when you have started the process, you ensure that you have flushed the system at the start first before you even start the drip irrigation. Make sure that you have flushed this system because it can contain a lot of organisms inside there. There can be an algae starting to grow there. There can be maybe stones inside there. There can be a lot of stuff inside that pipe. So you make sure that you are flushing it. And then at the end of the session, you're also flushing it. You also flush it after you have supplied your water with this drip irrigation. You have used drip irrigation to apply your plants with water. You ensure that after finishing supplying the water, you also flush the system. So through this, you're able to get rid of these kind of stones, the algae inside the pipes. So that is also a one way of getting rid of getting rid of these kind of things that can destroy your systems. And then make sure that you protect it during off seasons. It is time for harvest and you want to harvest your crops. So if it is time for harvest, why do you need these drip irrigation systems? Of course, you have to remove it first and then go and harvest. Because through this harvesting, it can be ruined. It can be stepped on and it can burst. So when it is time to harvest, you ensure that you have removed all your system during these off seasons. It is harvesting season, then remove these systems so that the harvesting will be even easier. For example, if you're harvesting using machines, so you'll be able to harvest it without much problem, without much losses. Because you can't tell me that you are only using these drip irrigation systems during the planting seasons and then you are not going to use them again. Just leave it in the garden for it to be destroyed. No, you have to recycle it. You have to remove them. Make sure that you have removed all your plants from the field and then you have started planting again. You will use those kind of drip irrigation. You can use them again if they are not ruined, and also you can check them if they have been destroyed or they need to be mended. If they need to be mended, well and good. Take it somewhere, mend it, ensure that there is no water leakage from unnecessary holes. So you ensure that you have flushed it and also remove it at the end of each season for you to also be cost effective. The cost effectiveness, you have to ensure that you are not buying the same things. You are not repeating the same things you did 1 year ago. By starting from scratch, buying the drip irrigation system again. No, you have to reuse it for you to also gain more profits because through that you're able to save a lot of profit. The profit that you wanted to buy another new irrigation system, you'll be able to keep it and use it. But if you tell me that you're going to buy a new one, then that is losses for you. Because what about the old one? What are you going to do with it? If it is not damaged, then you have to use it because it will conserve a lot of costs. And then the other one is professional design and management. You have to be professional when handling this kind of things. That's why I was telling you that you have to research everything about this kind of drip irrigation. Be professional. Know how to handle this kind of thing. If you have a professional, then well and good. Call that professional, but also monitor him closely. Make sure that he does something that is good for your crops, something that will help your crops grow even well, and then keep your management in check. Make sure that you are managing your crops in a way that it is acceptable. Don't oversupply the chemicals on your crops. Don't put a lot of chemicals on your crops because it is not only going to affect you, of course. It is also going to affect many other people outside there. Because the moment you are supplying a lot of chemicals on your crops, you are losing a lot. Your crops will die. They will dry up. So when they dry up, you are going to experience a lot of losses. But again, if you harvest these kind of crops, the ones that have already remained in the fields, and yet you applied a lot of chemicals on these crops, you are going to hurt other people's outside there. The people who are going to consume this food are going to experience stomachache, they are going to experience food poisoning just because you applied a lot of chemicals in your farms. So make sure you maintain professionalism, apply the right quantity of everything, including the chemicals. If you but I always encourage people to use organic farming because organic farming is far much better than the use of chemicals such as fertilizers, pesticides. But if you use organic materials in your farm for fertilizers, then it will be even much better because even if the people consume your food, they won't be affected that much. And again, thank you so much, guys, for listening. Thank you so much for being there. Thank you for contributing to this amazing session. I hope you got something. I hope everybody has learned something from this session. And again, this is a Farmers Media where we connect, learn, and grow. Continue following us at YouTube at farmersmedia.com, at Facebook at farmersmedia.com, at Farmers Media on YouTube at Farmers Media, on Facebook at Farmers Media, sorry, and on our website at www.farmers.com. And before, of course, we are wise people, and every day, every time when we have something, before we end the session, we have to tell you a proverb of the day. And the proverb of the day of today is related to everything that I've said about the preparation for drip irrigation. And the proverb says, "Make hay while the sun shines." Make hay while the sun shines. Until next time, have a lovely day. I've been your host, Regina I.
It can be set up for both small-scale home gardens and large-scale agricultural operations. The system requires a water source, a method to distribute the water, usually tubes and hoses, and emitters which control the amount of water delivered.